Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I talk about things that I feel need talking about, and sometimes they're not getting the attention they deserve. And your feelings, they're not under consideration.
Do you love movies? I certainly do. Hi, Chris Roberts here, inviting you to listen to I Saw It on Linden Street, our weekly podcast dedicated to the joy of finding an appreciation in cult films, exploitation oddities, beloved classics, and all points in between. Join us for an informative deep dive into a film that we feel needs to be recognized, with background thrown in on actors, directors, and hey, if I'm doing my job right, you'll get a funny story out of me. So, join us here at I Saw It on Linden Street and listen today. Remember, folks, life's too short not to live in the past. Take it easy.
The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. Today I want to address something that has been forced into the public consciousness, and I am actually very kind of disappointed how much engagement I've seen on this particular subject over the last few days. And the thing I want to talk about is, why in the perforated fuck does anyone care about Prince Harry and Meghan? I'm really at a loss to try and figure out this whole situation. Why are they talking to fucking Oprah? Why is this country making such a big deal out of a 35-year-old man deciding to leave his grandmother's house and go out on his own? I have a lot of issues with how much attention these two fucks are getting right now, and it's something that needs to be addressed. First and foremost, I'm pretty sure a couple hundred years ago, the United States of America told the British royal family, we don't give a fuck about them. What changed? Why are they significant? Why are they relevant? The only thing, as far as I'm concerned, that either of those two fucks have contributed to this country is that Prince Harry, or just Harry now, I guess, served in the military. That's the only thing he's done that is of note. Other than that, all the other stuff, any sort of philanthropic actions or any sort of using his platform, yeah, that's all well and good, but realistically, when you're famous simply for where you're born or who you're born to, you start with an automatic leg up that mitigates any good you do by the simple fact that you can only do that because of the circumstances of your birth. And I was under the impression that we were a structured civilization that doesn't give a fuck about that, because royalty and monarchy is not based on merit. It was based on some antiquated concept that they were preordained by some higher power to tell everybody else what to do. And their behavior and their disgusting habits and their inbreeding and their self-serving bullshit is why, well, one of the reasons why we told them all to get stuffed. And now, a couple hundred years later, we're putting this grown man who lived on his family's dime on a pedestal because he decided to go out with his wife because he wasn't happy with his family. You know what? You're not special. Literally, millions of other people have done the same thing. And it's less special that you did it because you're doing it with a net worth that is more than a lot of us will ever see. It's not like they're struggling. They're not out there on a link card trying to make sure their new baby is getting fed. And why in the actuated fuck are we treating these people like there's something special, like there's something important? And then people are getting so bent out of shape when somebody speaks out and criticizes them for it. And here's the thing. More or less, I don't give a fuck what Oprah says either. That's an entirely different soapbox that I'm not going to hop up on today. But Oprah's never done me any favors. Yeah, she's done a lot of good in the world, but she is not some massive icon in the respect that she matters a nickel-plated fuck in my day-to-day life. I don't care. She has a legion of followers, and she can put her book club sticker on a book, and it's instantly going to, crack the top 100 in the bestseller list. And that's all well and good. She can reach out. She can spread messages. She can do some good. She's done a lot of good. I'm not denying that she hasn't. She's also been hyperinflated on how important she is. She got there through hard work, and I'm not trying to detract from Oprah's overall worth. She's done some really amazing things. But on the other hand, she also does things like give platforms to these fucks that none of us should really care about. And she is generating more issues because she's giving people that don't need a platform. There's literally no reason for them to be speaking about their trials and tribulations. There are a lot of people in this world, particularly right now, that have it way fucking worse, that need more attention than these two rich fucks. So, oh, boo-hoo, I feel bad. Grandma didn't like me. Oh, fuck off. You're leaving with a golden parachute. Millions of dollars in the bank. You don't need to be on TV crying about how shitty you have it. And as far as the whole situation goes with oh, well, I was telling people I was suicidal and I didn't get any support. Okay, I am never going to shit on people's mental health. I've been there myself. I've literally had a gun in my mouth before, so I understand that suicidal thoughts and tendencies and beliefs are a thing, and you need support, and people need help, and you need to go to a doctor or go to a care facility to take care of your mental state. This is not something that I will ever say is something you just need to suck it up. I'm not the suck it up guy. If you need help, if you need a shoulder to talk to, if you don't have somebody to talk to, get a hold of me. I'll listen. It's completely ridiculous that people are saying things like a mental health thing. I don't understand anybody who would say mental health is not a real thing or not something that people know. And if you do think that it's all bullshit, then obviously you've got a cush life, because if you've never had a negative thought or a bad day or something that puts you in the mindset of saying, this sucks and I want out, then you're doing better than a lot of us. So more power to you, but don't be a dick about it. But back to her. If you're going to go on a worldwide platform talking to one of the most followed people on the planet, somebody who has legions of people hanging on what they say and following their opinions, and make a claim like, I was suicidal and nobody helped me, if you're not willing to divulge more than just that, if you don't want to talk about it beyond the I had bad thoughts and nobody would help me shit, you look like you're just playing for attention. Anybody that's genuinely been suicidal, being done a disservice by the attitude of, well, it happened, but I'm not going to say anything further beyond that. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to go into it. Well, then why did you bring it up in the first fucking place, other than the fact that you're trolling for sympathy? You want people to feel bad for you. You want attention, and you're using something that is such a serious topic in such a flippant and offhanded manner. And maybe she really did have suicidal thoughts. Maybe she's dealing with postpartum. Maybe whatever the problem may be. But if you're not going to elaborate, then there was no fucking reason to bring it up in the first place other than to garner sympathy and attention for yourself. You're not doing anything about it. You're not making any change. You're not accomplishing jack shit. So why bother bringing it up in the first place? It's a pathetic, low level. It's not even like executive level manipulation. It's like high school relationship drama bullshit. It's bringing up something and saying, oh, well, bad things happen, but I don't want to talk about it. It's like the people who want to, claim they've been assaulted. Oh, I can't tell you what the guy looked like. Oh, I can't tell you what. And I'm not trying to shit on people that are assaulted either. I understand there's all kinds of trauma involved with getting, whether it's sexually assaulted or robbed or mugged or just beat the fuck up. These things happen, and they're horrible, and there is a lot of trauma attached to it, particularly if it's like an acquaintance rape or something like that, where it really can be extremely difficult to talk about these things. But it's different when you're talking to a counselor or a police officer or a doctor at an admissions place when you're being checked into the hospital after being assaulted and saying, I can't talk about it, as opposed to going on to a nationally or globally published format and saying, oh, well, something horrible happened to me, but I don't want to talk about it. You're there to talk about things. If you don't want to talk about the thing, you don't fucking bring it up. You don't say, oh, well, bad shit happened, but I don't want to provide any details or anything to... even qualify that it might have actually happened. I can't offer any proof. I can't say names. I can't say details. Just know that a bad thing happened and I feel bad about it. And it's complete and utter horseshit. And people are just jumping on this shit hook, line, and sinker. And the people that do think it's horseshit and are trying to call it out are being prosecuted like they're fucking out there saying the Holocaust didn't happen, or all these other millions of people that died horribly are all just invalidated because some rich bitch that married up and landed a supposed better class by marrying a royal. First off, I think royalty is horseshit, and if you don't stand on merit, you're nothing. Like I said, I respect the guy more for his military service than I do for his birthright. That's utter fucking horseshit, and I don't understand why anybody in the United States gives a nickel-plated fuck about it, other than the fact that the Queen's 9 million years old and refuses to die. I think that old broad's awesome just for the fact that she is just fucking hardcore and refuses to go. She's so old that her son, the next in line, is already old enough to draw SSI. Her grandkids are getting up there where they are really almost going to be too old to take any kind of leadership role just because they should be retired by the time she goes at this rate. It's insane, and I think that part is a lot more entertaining and provides a lot more value than anything they've actually fucking done in the last 300 years. Besides lose an empire, so fuck them. I guess my real issue with this goes back to people that don't need a platform being given one and then doing literally nothing with it. You're going to say inflammatory shit, you're going to say shit that gets people fired up, and then the vocal minority is going to try and cancel anybody who disagrees with it. And I'm all for drawing attention and suicide prevention and awareness of mental health issues. That's not a bad thing. And having the conversation start because some, pseudo-celebrity twat waffle decided to go on a humongous platform and say, I had bad thoughts and nobody helped me. So that's maybe the silver lining to this giant shit gray cloud. But honestly, when it comes to her in particular and this whole situation, it's like, put up or shut up. You want to talk shit, you want to make claims, but you don't want to back anything up and you don't want to say anything further about it, then you're, like I said, you're really doing a disservice to people that have legitimate issues. Because either you're full of shit and you're an attention whore, or you are just trying to stir the pot. If you're not going to actually try and bring light to an issue and delve into it beyond any statement of icky bad thing happened to me, you have no credibility at that point. You're just saying, oh, this shit happened. That's not a cry for help. That's a cry for fucking attention and sympathy. And realistically, just people like that make me sick. And it goes back to, I hate people that are famous for fucking nothing. Literally nothing. And that's just kind of where I stand on that particular issue. So this seems like as good a point as any. We're going to stick the little break in here and take a couple seconds out to listen to the mid-show plug. And when we come back, we're going to talk about something else that has transpired recently that just chafes my ass in an entirely different direction. We'll be right back.
Ever feel like a small speck of dust in this vast universe? Yet for some reason, mankind never seems to realize just how insignificant it is. How we are just one species surrounded by millions of other equally important, possibly more interesting organisms, most of which have been surviving on this planet much longer than us. Ever feel like you just want to take a break from humanity? That you relate more to frogs, jellyfish, bugs, worms, or toxic slime?
Or are just an edgy 90s kid?
Well, this is the place for you, my totally adult listener above the age of 18.
Or with your parents' permission.
Cause if you're not, you will stop this trailer now. Yeah, go, bye.
Cause this show is explicit as fuck.
The House of the Atmospheric Silencerata presents their only podcast, Darwin's Deviations, where I, Darwin, talk about amazingly bizarre, creepy, unusual, disturbing, fucked up organisms.
Or the occasional cutie pie.
That we all love and would rather they dominated the planet.
Cause they are more interesting than us.
Some can dismember themselves. Some can eat 10 times their body weight and explode. Some kill their food by farting toxic fumes all over it. And some of them lay on the ocean floor and scoop up filth with their body.
Because sometimes I feel like doing just that.
Oh, but I'm not alone. Apart from my amazing number of one listener,
My best friend! Not even my mom wants to listen to the show.
I have an assortment of co-hosts. There is Al.
Hello, person individual. Please listen, I guess.
There is also Dr. Megalo.
Wow, we can gain 1 million followers!
And there's you.
Hey, what's with the attitudes?
And there is our sponsor, the spokes tentacle thing for the House of the Atmospheric Salantrata, the floating jellyfish, Squishy.
Hey listeners, if you like this show, it means you have a well-developed brain.
Okay, Squishy. So, dear listener,
Get out of here while you still can.
if you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe, listen, entertain yourselves, become one of us, spread the word, may eternal be thy Squishy. And if you don't enjoy the show, listen to it anyway. So my view count rises, I'm more quickly noticed and cancelled for all eternity. Because like every species that ever existed on this planet,
We're not gonna last too long.
so enjoy the wonders of nature while it and you are still here.
All right, everybody. So thanks for sitting through that. You know, the usual. Got to do the diligence there. So here's the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is an issue that I knew was coming, and it's just something that's delivering on a disappointment that I knew was coming. And here's the thing I want to talk about. All right, so Congress finally got off their asses and passed another stimulus package. And there's all kinds of ridiculous fat in there that did not need to be there, that does not benefit this country in any single way, shape, or form. Sending money to foreign countries to pay for their shit to get done and financing forcing our beliefs on the countries that don't necessarily want them, because we think we're big brother to the world and we have to police the entire planet and we have to put our values into everybody else's lives. Because frankly, that's what a bunch of entitled, pushy fucks this country has become. And instead of just allowing people to have life, liberty, and pursuit of their version of happiness, we want everyone to pursue our version of happiness and hold our values and make our values law and practice for the entire fucking world, because we are an arrogant bunch of fucks. But, believe it or not, that's not what I'm going to talk about now. I want to talk about the little pennies that the government in this country has decided to give back to the people. And bear in mind, I'm not saying they're giving us money. They're giving money back because it's not theirs to fucking manage in the first place. These doddering old bastards that are running things for whatever reason, that because we allow them to, because we're not willing to rise up as a group and tell them to get the fuck out. And I'm not saying rise up like insurrection style. I'm saying like actually voting these worthless pricks out. Problem is, we don't have any worthwhile pricks to vote for. So, without getting on that whole soapbox, I want to talk about the stimulus check that's going out. People have already started receiving them. I haven't. Just put that out there right away. Where's my stimmy, huh? But I want to talk about the stimulus checks that have gone out. And I saw over the weekend the first sure sign that the stimulus checks are out. I went to the local big box store, who shall not be named for fear of litigation and assholes. And I don't want to give them any more attention than is strictly necessary. No, I went to a big store that carries a little bit of fucking everything because I needed some groceries. And the stuff I needed happened to be there, and I was running other errands. I had to get some stuff for some projects around the house, and I went to a hardware store that was up the street from the grocery store, and I stopped on the way there because gas has already gone up $1.50 in the last 6 weeks, and I can't afford to be driving to 9 different places. Where's my stimmy check? But you could tell that a bunch of broke motherfuckers with no real fiscal sense all of a sudden got a bunch of money, because I went into this store and all the big screen TVs were sold out and all the electronics were gone and all the shit that all these people want but generally can't have and can't afford was cleared out. The store was, fresh vegetables were there aplenty because broke motherfuckers don't have a mentality of eating healthy being a priority. And I'm not saying this in any kind of judgmental way. I'm saying it more in a let's establish the facts and let's address one of the issues in the system. One of these things that is a huge fault in our educational system is we don't teach people how to properly deal with financial shit. Yeah, you can find a tangent and you can learn geometry and algebra, but you can't balance a fucking checkbook or eat properly. So where are our priorities really focused these days? Health and nutrition, they're not important, but let's make sure that everybody knows, that the mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, because that's real fucking relevant in your day-to-day life. So yeah, I go to the store. Not only are the lines ridiculous, the person who's monitoring the door for the comings and goings that checks your receipt to make sure you're not stealing anything on your way out the door, which is, honestly, that's a joke in and of itself. It's somebody that's making maybe $1 an hour above minimum wage. They don't really give a shit if you're stealing anything as long as you don't set off the fucking alarm. And that's just my commentary on that. I generally, I try and be friendly with those people. And the poor lady working the door, she must have been just so overwhelmed because of the amount of people that were in there and I'm guessing most of them were kind of shitheads, because of the location of the store I went to is not exactly getting the upper crust clientele, because that happened to be the part of town I was in. And I'm not bougie. I will go wherever. I'm not one of those people that gets shook up because of a rough neighborhood. It just doesn't fit my persona. I don't care. There's good people in shitty neighborhoods because of shitty circumstances. Doesn't make them shitty people. Conversely, there's also a lot of shitty people in those shitty neighborhoods, and they act like assholes. And all of a sudden, you got broke assholes that have a couple $1,000s that they didn't have access to a week ago. And instead of budgeting or saving or, God forbid, paying off some debt, they go out and buy a bunch of shit that they really shouldn't be focusing on, because all of a sudden they can. And so the store was packed. The lines at every cashier station, all the self-checkouts had lines too. And this poor woman working the door, I mean, you had to wait in line to get out because she was checking everybody's receipts. And, I just, friendly, hey, how you doing? Have a good day. Oh, my God, it's been so busy. I mean, she seriously vented for like 5 minutes. And, I understand. I stood there and listened to her because obviously she'd been having a rough day. She's like, I've never seen this many people in here on a Saturday morning and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, got that Stimmi money. It's tax refunds plus a stimulus check. And for those of you who don't know, if you're listening to this and you're not fucking broke like a lot of us, if you earn under a certain amount of money, you generally get more back in taxes than they took in the first place. And so a lot of broke motherfuckers come around tax refund season, go out and start buying all the fancy shit they've wanted all year that they couldn't afford because they're broke motherfuckers. And so all of a sudden, like I said, stores get swamped. The shelves are empty. It's looking like the early days of the Rona outbreak again, except for instead of toilet paper and bottled water and sanitizer being missing, all the fancy shit's gone. They were literally bringing out pallets of TVs while I was there that were getting cleared off almost as quick as they were being brought out. It was ridiculous. And, just like stupid, rampant consumerism. And I'm guilty of it, too. I buy shit that I like, too. I like having fancy things. I like electronics. I've been thinking about buying a bigger TV pretty much since I got back into the workforce. Here's the thing, though. I said I want a new TV, and yes, I do. I want a bigger TV, partly because my eyes are going bad and I can't see it nearly as well. And I'd like to be able to watch TV without my glasses on. But here's the catch to that. I didn't go out and do it with my first paycheck. I could have. I could have gone out and bought an 80-inch TV and still covered my bills for the week. Not month, but, the first half of the month's bills would have gotten covered, and then my next paycheck could have covered the rest of the bills for the month. But that wouldn't have put any kind of a dent in the debt I accrued over the last 9 months of being unemployed. So, being a somewhat rational and slightly grown-up person, I paid down all my bills instead of going out and buying an 80-inch TV. And just, to full disclosure, I'm not going to buy a fucking 80-inch TV because that seems a little excessive to me at this point. I'm still of the mindset where I'm like, yeah, you know what? It is a little harder to see the TV from the couch because, like I said, eyes are going bad. But do I need an 80-inch frickin' TV? I mean, I'll have to remodel my house to get that to fit properly. No. Well, actually, I wouldn't have to. It's on a bracket. I could just pull it out from the wall and have it go in front of the bookshelves that I worked really hard to build. That a slightly smaller TV would fit in between perfectly. So I will probably buy the slightly smaller TV that is still bigger than the one that's there so I can see. But I'm going to do that once I'm back in the black. Or if the TV goes dead first, because I am enough of that culture where I do need to have a television. So if the one in the living room goes dead, which is, honestly, it's starting to look like it may happen because it's got some dead pixels in it and seems to be spreading. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to bitch about my poor, unfortunate Aaron that may have to buy a bigger TV because I'm in a position to be able to. And it's not the end of the world. I'm doing okay. I have no right to bitch at the moment. And, I'm slowly digging out of that hole that I got into due to circumstances. I'm doing a lot better than a lot of people in my industry who are still trying to recover. My industry has been thoroughly fucked by the Rona. And a lot of people are not doing as well as I am. And I'm grateful for that every day that I wake up. And I don't bitch that I get to get up in the morning and go to work. I love it. It's fantastic. I got a job I like. I got coworkers that are great. And I'm very fortunate. I'm not religious, but I could even say I'm blessed. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm happy. And I'm not bitching about that. What I'm bitching about is the broke mentality that so many of us are working under these days. All these fucking people that are probably every bit as in debt as I am. As soon as they get some money, they go out and buy a bunch of shit they probably don't technically need. It's just stuff they want. It's instant gratification, and it's short-sighted thinking. And whenever my stimulus check shows up, and I'm definitely going to get one because my earnings for the last couple of years have not been nearly high enough to disqualify me, that's all going straight to debt. That's all paying down the bills that were racked up by what put us in this situation in the first place. And when I'm back in the black, then I'll buy the toys because I'll be in a position to be able to afford the toys. And I'll still put money in the bank too, and I'll still invest and try and have a retirement someday so I don't have to work until I'm 90 and drop dead as a greeter at some big box superstore. There's some little arrogant bastard coming in because they got parents that don't know how to raise them. They just know how to keep popping them out, and they come out and driving the old man at the door crazy, and I have an aneurysm and die. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the crotchety old guy that's driving around the country in a big-ass RV with a dog and my old lady, and I see my grandkids periodically, and that's what I want. That's my end game. And I'm going to get there because I have a mentality of this ain't free money. This is not magic shit because I understand the principles behind things like economics. I understand that gratification is not always the way you need to go. A little discipline, a little self-control, a little forethought, and we'll be better off. And honestly, this may be a little hyperbole. This may be, I'm sure my wife and I will elect to do a couple more like self-serving type things with a portion of whatever money we get back between our tax refund and the stimulus money. We'll probably invest some of it in some repairs around the house or doing some, something fun just for us. We may go to dinner, maybe, get a nice fancy bottle of wine. But I'm not going to go out and blow a couple $1,000s in a shopping spree because holy fuck, all of a sudden I got something I'm not used to having. It's a lack of discipline. And like I said, it goes back to the education system. It goes back to people. They're not being taught how to not have a broke mentality. This is part of the problem with our society and our culture. We have a broke mentality by and wide. The masses are not taught, and our public education system is not structured to teach people to be better, to better themselves. They're taught to be just useful enough for the elite who can afford private educations and tutors and being taught how to be successful and stable. The rest of us are being taught just enough to be useful to those people. And I'm not trying to sound like the tinfoil hat the lizard people are ruling us, but from a purely realistic standpoint, if you stop and look at it for a few minutes, that's what it is. The general population is just educated enough to be useful to the elite population. And this broke-ass mentality that is being encouraged by the leadership at this point, they're encouraging an impoverished mindset. So, realistically, if you haven't gotten your stimulus check yet, just put this in your ear holes and roll it around in your head for a few minutes. Do something useful with the money. Don't go out and buy the big fucking flat panel TV. Don't go out and pay 3 times what a PlayStation is worth to get the new one. And maybe, shop local. It's supposed to be to stimulate the United States economy, not foreign countries. So maybe don't go to the big box store and buy a bunch of random shit. Maybe buy some handcrafted shit off Etsy that somebody worked really hard on because they're trying to support their family. Maybe go to a local store or a local restaurant or, shop local like I'm constantly saying. And I try to live that as much as possible myself. So, granted, some things I just can't get locally where I'm at, but I do the best I can. And sometimes it's worth paying a little bit more to get something to endorse that thing. If you're in a position where you're not just struggling to survive, try and help out some people who might be, all right? So, I guess those are my points. Fuck the royals. Fuck people that are doing cries for attention. Fuck poverty mindset. And for now, that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode of I Had to Say It. If you liked what you heard, leave a review, give us a follow, give me some feedback. And if you didn't like what you heard, leave a review, give me a follow, give me some feedback. I'll try and fix it. Check us out on all the social media platforms. At I Had to Say It podcast is the trigger for all that stuff, for the search term. And if you want, check out the website, www.ihadtosayitpodcast.com. There's links to people that have been involved with the program, things I've talked about. There are some links available for some merch that we're working on, and there are ways to contact us there as well. And thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.